Yes, indeed. It is a Friday edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. It is Friday, December 23rd, 2022. It is day 5, heading into night 6 of Hanukkah, and Christmas is this weekend. Christmas Eve, of course, is tomorrow, and Christmas Day is Sunday. So a holiday, joyous weekend to everybody out there. Will the Browns give you joy, give you Christmas cheer, give you Hanukkah light this weekend? We shall see. We'll talk Browns playoffs. Yes, it's still possible. Stop being a curmudgeon, and I know about being a curmudgeon. The Browns specifically against the Saints. We'll pick all the weekend games in the NFL. And the Cavs playing the Raptors, trying to prove to a league best 17-2 at home. That's all coming up on a Friday Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Bow, bada, bow, bow, bow. Bow, bada, bow. All right, a lot to get to today. I just sent out a group chat message to the guys for today's Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, which we're doing from home. And Jay, my man Jay, being a negative Nelly about the play. We all understand. We all understand that the chances of the Browns making the playoffs are slim. They're going to need a lot of help. In fact, here's the really, the most tricky part, the two most tricky parts about it are, A, that the Browns have to win out, and B, that one of the following teams have to lose out. Either the Ravens, Dolphins, or Chargers have to lose out. Those are the two parts that are very unlikely. Besides that, they need these other four things to happen. They need the Raiders to lose one game, not unrealistic. They need the Jaguars or the Titans to lose one game, which will happen because they're playing each other unless there's a tie. They need the Jets to lose one game. That's including what happened last night. They needed the Jets to lose two. Now they need to lose one. And the Patriots to lose two games. None of that is all that complicated. The complicated part is the Browns winning out. And certainly the odds of either the Ravens, Chargers, or Dolphins going 0-3 are slim. That's the really tricky part. The Browns are probably not going to the playoffs. But until they're eliminated, and if they win this weekend, the only way they get eliminated is if the Ravens beat the Falcons, the Chargers beat the Colts, and either the Patriots beat the Bengals or the Dolphins beat the Packers. Now, certainly all those teams that have to lose are favored except for the Patriots. So it's very realistic that the Ravens, Chargers, and Dolphins could all win. That's not crazy. And then my dream will be over. But why not believe in a dream until it completely dies? Until it completely dies. So I'm going to keep believing in that dream. When I say I believe in the dream, I don't actually believe the dream is going to come true, but I believe it's alive. Well, I don't believe it's alive. It's factually alive until it's not. So keep hope alive, if you will. As for this game specifically, with the Browns taking on the Saints, you got to like the Browns' chances at home. Obviously, they've played better of late on both sides of the ball. Well, that's not true. They've played better of late on defense. In terms of allowing points, they've given up still a lot of rushing yards, but they've mostly come between the 20s. The offense is not playing particularly well. It has not played well under DeShaun Watson. Let's not be phony and get excited about mediocre quarterback play. For a year and change, I've been talking about, well, I'm not excited. All these people were lauding Baker Mayfield. I'm like, yeah, that's because you've been watching crappy quarterbacks, so mediocre quarterback play makes you look good. We can't get overly excited. We can't get overly excited about mediocre quarterback play. DeShaun Watson's not playing particularly well. He's gotten a little better each game, but if for those who got excited about DeShaun Watson last week, if that's the best he has, we got a big problem. And that's not the best he has because we've seen him in Houston be great. Will he ever get back to that? Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a no-brainer. He will at some point. I expect it to come next year after he plays these 6 games, gets a full normal offseason program and the full training camp where he's the guy. I expect to see it next year. But I guess anything's possible, and it could go the opposite way. So the Browns need to get much better quarterback play. If they get great quarterback play, to me, the trade was worth it. In the end, I've heard a lot of people say, well, if the Browns don't ultimately win a Super Bowl, then the trade was not worth it. Well, I mean, from a PR standpoint, from the Browns' reputation, I guess you could argue that, although the Browns had a pretty crappy reputation to begin with. From a football standpoint, it was a no-brainer for the Browns to make a trade because you don't really have a dog in the fight if you don't have a frontline quarterback. And DeShaun Watson, when he's been on the field until this year, has been a top 10 quarterback. We can debate how high he is on that list. I mean, right now he's not a top 10 quarterback, but we're all assuming, or most of us, at least I am, assuming he's going to be a top 10 quarterback again at some point. If he doesn't get back to that, then, well, yeah, the Browns are screwed. They're not winning anything. But the Browns had no chance of winning anything with Baker Mayfield, so they had to go get a quarterback. That's it. I mean, you could con yourself into thinking a running back is more important or a middle linebacker or whatever nonsense you want to plant in your own brain. That doesn't mean you can't have anything around the quarterback. We saw DeShaun Watson's last year in Houston after going to the playoffs 2 years in a row. We saw his last year. They had an absolutely dreadful team, and as great as he played, it wasn't enough to win more than 4 games. Obviously you got to have a team around them to some degree. But the better the quarterback, the more margin for error you have with the rest of the team. The more holes you can overcome on the rest of the team. Right? If you're playing great, the Chiefs can get away with a mediocre and at times bad defense because their quarterback's great. The Bengals last year were able to get to the Super Bowl with the worst offensive line in football because their quarterback was great. The Ravens have won a lot of games with Lamar Jackson. And I don't even think he's, to me, Lamar Jackson's on the lower end of the top 10. But because he has such a special skill set, they had zilch around him, at least on offense. And they've been able to go to the playoffs with him, right? Josh Allen, on and on. Now, the Bills have a really good team around Josh Allen, too. But look at the Chiefs. They lost arguably the best receiver in football, or certainly a top 5 receiver in Tyreek Hill. You don't notice. It hasn't mattered. Now, maybe they won't go as far in the playoffs. We'll see when that time comes. But the quarterback, the great quarterback, the top quarterbacks make up for problems, other problems. Meanwhile, you could have a really good roster, and if you don't have a quarterback, it's handing you the other way. I mean, you look at all the good teams right now, for the most part, they all have great quarterbacks. Yeah, San Francisco doesn't. That's the one team. The Niners are the only team right now that appears to be a legitimate contender that does not have a top quarterback, right? Because look at the other playoff teams. Buffalo, Kansas City, Cincinnati. Those are the 3 best teams in the AFC. All great quarterbacks. NFC, Jalen Hurts has been great this year. We'll see in the long term if he is. Minnesota, Kirk Cousins, not great, not top 10, but he's good. San Francisco does not have a top 10 quarterback. 3 best teams in the NFC. Anybody think Minnesota's going to win a Super Bowl? Now, maybe you think San Fran will, and they've got a great coach, and, minus the quarterback, probably have the best roster in the league, except for maybe Philadelphia. But I still don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Winning without the great quarterback is the exception these days, not the rule. You got to remember that. And if you're going to win without a great quarterback, well, you better have a great coach and you better have a great team. Not good, not a decent coach, not a decent team, because you ain't winning squat. I don't care how good your defense is. Well, I do care. I mean, if you don't have the quarterback, you better be a superstar defense and have a great coach. Otherwise, you got no shot. Anybody think the Washington Commanders are going to do anything in the playoffs? Anybody think the New York Giants are going to do anything in the playoffs? Good luck. Good luck with that. As for the Browns specifically with the Saints this weekend, huge advantage for the Browns in this weather. The weather today on Friday is brutal. It's not supposed to get any better in the next 28 hours between now and the start of the game. It's 9:05 Friday morning right now. 0 degrees, wind chills in the negative 20s. The snow is blowing. I looked at my backyard this morning. It's like by the house, there's like almost a foot of snow, and then in the rest of the backyard, I don't have a big backyard, but in the rest of the backyard, like you can see the grass because the snow is blowing, and it's crazy out there. Brutally cold, very dangerous. Be careful if you go outside. Bundle up. Don't be outside too long. Get frostbite quickly. Being out in this weather for any team, I mean, it's not like the Browns want to play in this weather. However, the Saints are an indoor team. They're a dome team in a warm weather city. I mean, this is going to be the Browns have this. The Browns should definitely win this game. There's no doubt in my mind. They're a 3-point favorite. The weather's going to be brutal. Now, I'm not expecting a high-scoring game, so it probably will end up being close, but the Browns should take care of business in this game. The Saints won't have their best receiver, the rookie Chris Olave from Ohio State. Jarvis Landry, who all of a sudden some people want back in Cleveland. I don't know why, but has barely played all season. He's not playing either. Their quarterback situation stinks. Alvin Kamara hasn't had a touchdown in forever. He's not a elite between the tackles runner. I mean, I'm expecting the Browns to take care of business. So we mentioned I think every day this week I've mentioned it's the lowest over-under, according to my guy TA, it's the lowest over-under we've seen in forever that he can remember. It was down to 32 yesterday. It remains at 32. I mean, I'd be leaning towards the under anyway. It's going to be hard to, even a guy with a big arm like DeShaun Watson, it's going to be hard for him to throw the ball in this kind of weather. And it's, right on the lake. And obviously, and 40-mile-an-hour winds and gusts up to 50, 60 miles an hour. It's going to be bonkers. Saints are a terrible road team. They've always been a terrible road team. Again, no excuse for the Browns to lose this game. Take care of business. And if you take care of business and you get some luck, maybe you're still alive. Do I think the Browns are going to the playoffs? Of course I don't think the Browns are going to the playoffs. But I think it's fun to hope about, and if we can get it to if the Browns could just be alive mathematically going into the last week of the season, it will be fun. But you need, obviously, the tricky part again. Either the Chargers, the Ravens, or the Dolphins have to go 0-3. And that's unlikely that any of those teams will go 0-3. But you never know. You never know. I think the Browns have a much better chance of going 3-0 than those teams do of going 0-3. We shall see. BetOnline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball and World Cup, we've got it all at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. Let's go. We talked them around the league. Teams, the clinching playoff spots last night with the Jags beating the Jets. I had that one. That was nice. The Bengals clinched a playoff spot. So right now in the AFC, the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals are in. And the Colts, Broncos, Texans have been eliminated. Bills have the number one seed right now, but it's really a toss-up. Bills are playing the Bengals next week in Cincinnati. Obviously, the Bengals beat the Chiefs. Buffalo beat the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, only way they're getting home field throughout is if they finish with a better. They don't have a tiebreaker over the Bengals or the Bills. If the Bills win out, obviously they'll be the number one seed. If the Chiefs win out and the Bengals beat the Bills, the Chiefs will be the number one seed. If the Bengals win out and the Chiefs lose one of their final three games, not overly likely because they're not playing anybody great, although they're playing a decent Seattle team this weekend, then the Bengals would be the number one seed. The Browns right now are the 12 seed in the AFC at 6-8. And again, went through the tiebreakers there. So in the NFC, top four teams have clinched. The Eagles, and they will be the top seed throughout the playoffs. No, they haven't locked that up yet. Sorry, they haven't locked that up yet. They actually technically haven't locked up their division. Eagles the 1 seed right now, Vikings 2, Niners 3, and the Cowboys at the 5 have locked it in. Right now the Buccaneers are the 4 seed at 6-8. So those teams have clinched. Not the Bucs. Cowboys, Niners, Vikings, Eagles, the Cardinals, Rams, and Bears have been eliminated. All right, let's get to all the picks for this weekend. We start with the Christmas Eve games tomorrow. I told you I like the Browns -3 over the Saints. Love the Browns in this game, although I shouldn't say love because it's going to be such a long-scoring game. I don't feel great about it, but I don't think the Saints are going to – I think they have a really hard time scoring. I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think field goals are going to be hard. I would expect too many field goal kicks in this one. I'm going to say Browns 14, Saints 7. That's my score in this game. All right, Bills at the Bears. It's going to be brutally cold there, too. A lot of, obviously, very cold weather games. Even in Tennessee, it's supposed to be 17 degrees, which, that's very cold for there. Bills-Bears. Bills are an 8-point favorite in Chicago. Justin Fields, who has 1,000, just got to 1,000 yards rushing last week, and trying to figure out where he stands with the quarterbacks in this league and how good he's going to be. They haven't won a lot of games with him. Buffalo on the road in this one. I'm going to take the Bills. My inclination for much of the week was that the Bears would play well enough to cover, but I don't know. I'm talking myself into the Bears cover. I like that Khalil Herbert's coming back. The Bears are going to run the ball a lot. The weather is going to be bad. You know what? I've talked myself out of it again. I'm going with the Bears +8. I'll probably regret that, but I'll take the Bears +8. I do think the Bills will win. For whatever reason, I think the Bears are going to keep it close. I just think they're going to run the ball a lot, and I think they'll have some success running the ball. So I'll take the Bears +8. Texans at Titans. This game is hideous. I mean, I don't know how you pick a team in this game. The Texans are so awful, but to their credit, they've played very tough games against Kansas City and Dallas the last 2 weeks, two good teams that they've hung right in there with and lost at the end. The Titans are completely falling apart. I hate this game because I still think the Texans are by far the worst team in the league, and just because they were competitive the last 2 weeks, I think everybody's going to pick the Texans this week because they've been so competitive and the Titans have been awful. But I'm going to take the Titans anyway. I'll take the Titans in this game. They got a good coach. They'll go with the young quarterback. They'll run the ball a ton, and I think they'll be effective that way. I would definitely stay away from this game, but I got to pick them all, so I'll take the Titans -3 in this one. All right, let's keep it going. Next game is the Giants at the Vikings. Two teams that I don't think are as good as their record. But the Vikings are at home. They've been great at home. Now, most of their games are close. I don't like it at 4. I'd like it better at 3, but I'll still take the Vikings in this one. The Giants, I just don't trust their offense at all. I know Barkley's had a pretty good season. Hasn't been as good down the stretch. They got lucky in that Washington game with some bad calls, although there's a good chance they still would have won anyway. I'll take Minnesota. I know they've been a weird team. The way they came back against the Colts, but they've got to be pretty confident after winning that game. I'll take the Vikings -4. Bengals at the Patriots. We all know what happened at the end of the Patriots game last week. This is a 1 o'clock game in New England. The Bengals are a 3-point favorite. They've clinched a playoff spot, but they still have a lot to play for, trying to clinch that number 1 overall seed. I'll go with the Bengals in this one, -3 on the road. I think roster-wise, they're not close. Obviously, with Belichick, you always give them a shot. Lions at the Panthers. Panthers had a chance last week. They were controlling their own destiny in that awful NFC South. They could still win the division, even at 5-9, but the Lions are rolling right now. And it's hard to pick against them. They've won 6 of their last 7. They got a real shot to go to the playoffs. I'm going to take the Lions on the road. Can't believe I believe in the Lions now. I was not a big fan of their coach when everybody else was, but he's winning me over. They're playing well. Jared Goff is playing solid football. Made a big throw at the end of the game to beat the Jets last week. I'll take the Lions -2.5. Falcons at the Ravens. Falcons, they're horrible. But the Ravens still don't have Lamar Jackson, and their offense is awful. I know they can run the ball, and the Falcons are a team you can run on. The Falcons 1-6 on the road. It's going to be cold, 20 degrees. Not Cleveland cold, but it's going to be cold in Baltimore. Low over-under in this one, too, 34.5. I mean, I'm not expecting a lot of points. I guess I'll take Atlanta to cover here. I think Baltimore, as they tend to do lately, outside of the Browns game, will win in a close game. I'll take it close. I'll take the Falcons with the points. That's another one I would stay away from if I wasn't doing this. Commanders at the 49ers. Niners favored by 6.5. Listen, the Niners have a great roster. We all know this. But, and the Commanders did not play well last week. However, the Commanders have, for whatever reason, been a little better on the road than at home. Everything points to the Niners, but I think the Commanders keep this game close and maybe even pull a shocking upset over San Francisco in this game. I'm still not a believer in Brock Purdy, although I don't like Washington's coach. I don't think he's a very good coach. I think the Niners have a huge advantage at coach and ultimately will win, but I think it'll be a close game. So I'll take the Commanders to cover. That's 4 o'clock game, by the way. The only 2 4 o'clock games: the Commanders, Niners on CBS, and then Eagles, Cowboys on Fox. We know Jalen Hurts is not playing. The Cowboys are a 4.5 point favorite. The Cowboys are 7-1 at home, but the Eagles are 7-0 at home on the road. Obviously the spread changed a lot. I've heard some people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it's Gardner Minshew." I think it matters big time. I think it's a close game. I don't like this game at all because I don't want to lay 4.5 with Dallas because I think it's a field goal game. But you know what? I'm not a believer in Gardner Minshew like a lot of others are. I'll actually take Dallas to cover. I think they could fall short, but I think Dallas is going to win the game, so I'll take them to cover. Sunday Night Football on Christmas Day, Raiders at Steelers. This celebrating the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. Franco Harris just died this week. Odd timing. Condolences to his family. Both the loser of this game locks up a under 500 record. Obviously Raiders are used to that. The Steelers are not. Steelers are at home. Maybe get some fight in them for the Franco Harris situation. I will unfortunately take the Steelers at home in this game, -2.5. I'm sorry, those games are on Christmas Eve. I think I said Christmas Day. That's Saturday Night Football, not Sunday Night Football. Now, Christmas Day, triple header, 1 o'clock, Packers at Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to run roughshod over Green Bay. I know Aaron Rodgers said it's all in front of them. Yeah, it is. It's about to be all behind them. I like the Dolphins at home where they've played great. If this game was at Green Bay, totally different story. Dolphins at home -3.5. 4:30 game is part of the doubleheader on Christmas Day. This is a hideous game and a terrible job by the NFL locking into these games. They should have kept the ability to exchange games, because who the hell wants to watch the Broncos and the Rams? It's probably the worst game of the week, or one of the worst games of the week. This is an awful game. I'll take the Broncos -2.5 on the road, but I don't know. The only reason to watch it, I guess, is to see if Baker sucks again. Sunday Night Football, Christmas Day night football, day night. Buccaneers at the Cardinals, again it's a bad Christmas Day lineup, unfortunately. Cardinals stink. They're down to their third string quarterback. Their coach is a fraud. The Buccaneers are terrible. I can't believe I guess I got to take Tampa Bay on the road by 7.5. That's how bad the Cardinals are. I'll lay the 7.5. Tom Brady gets the 7-8. Save the Monday game for Monday. Quick break and then come back with some final thoughts, including the Cavaliers playing tonight against Toronto. That's coming up to wrap things up in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. Camera off for a sec. All right. Let's talk about the Cavaliers. The Cavaliers have won 6 in a row and 5 in a row, excuse me. And they sit, as I mentioned yesterday, just a game back in Milwaukee for the top seed. I think everybody's playing tonight. So there's a chance by the end of the night, I believe, unless the Milwaukee's playing Boston, and I don't know who they're playing. No, Boston's hosting Minnesota, and the Bucks are at the Nets, and the Nets are playing really well. So if the Cavs win tonight against Toronto at home, I know there's a long way to go. We're not even at the halfway point of the season. But this is fun for me, so bear with me. The Cavs at home tonight are a 4-point favorite over Toronto. The Bucks in Brooklyn tonight are a 2.5-point dog in Minnesota. The Celtics are favored. They're a big favorite, 8.5 at home against Minnesota. However, if the Timberwolves beat the Celtics, the Nets beat the Bucks, and the Cavs beat the Raptors, then the Cavs will be tied with the Bucks for the best record in the entire NBA. I think the Bucks would have a slightly higher winning percentage because the Cavs have played 2 more games than Milwaukee to this point. But in the standings, they would be tied, and that's remarkable. As optimistic as we were, I think earlier in the show I said the Cavs trying to get to 16-2 at home. They're already 16-2 at home. They're trying to get to 17-2 at home. Maybe I said that. I can't remember what I said. But even the most optimistic Cavs fan couldn't have guessed that the Cavs would be entering Christmas, the Christmas weekend, with a chance to be be tied for the best record in the NBA. No way you could have thought that. Cavs are playing magnificent ball, and something we're going to talk about on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today is, are the Cavs a legitimate contender for the number 1 seed in the East? And or are we just being prisoners of the moment? It's probably the latter, but I don't know. And the home court is so, as we know, based on what the Cavs have done this year. Now, hopefully, as the season goes along, they'll improve on the road. I would assume they would. But based on how things are right now, I mean, having home court advantage in a postseason series, which the Cavs will very likely have in the first round, although it's far from a guarantee. They're only 2.5 games up on the 5 seed right now, so there's far from a sure thing. The Cavs are playing great, but so is Brooklyn, who's won 7 in a row. So the Sixers have won 6 in a row. And the Knicks had won, I think, 6 or 7 in a row before they lost their last game. So you got a lot of teams playing well. They're the top 6 teams in the East, outside of Boston, who's been struggling lately. We know how good they are. They're just in a little bit of a scuffle, so it's tough. But we know how important the home court is. So if by some chance the Cavs can get to that 1 seed, I'm not saying they're going to go to the NBA Finals, but it gives them a huge opportunity because they've just played so well at home. I mean, it's crazy that they're 16-2 at home, and I expect them to beat Toronto tonight. I know they've lost twice to Toronto, but they're a different team at home. Both those games were on the road. They were earlier in the season. They opened the season at Toronto. That was a tough game. Second game, they didn't play as well, but I'm expecting the Cavs to take care of business and get to 17-2. It would be just beautiful. All right, thanks for joining me on this Friday edition of The Bullpen. Make sure you subscribe to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube. Hit the alert bell, please. And then you'll get an alert every time I put out a podcast, every time the show puts out a podcast, and every time we do a postgame show, which includes tomorrow on Christmas Eve Day. After the Browns play the Saints, G. Bush and I will be on there, starting at the 2-minute warning, to discuss the game and whether or not the Browns' playoff hopes are still alive. Also, check me out on Twitter at Adam the Bull, on my website, adamthebull.com, and on Cameo at Adam the Bull. I did a Cameo video for some people yesterday, and I love doing those, so send me a Cameo request. And finally, check out the Locked On Browns podcast with G. Bush and Jeff Lloyd. Subscribe to them as well. I'll talk to you. Have a wonderful weekend, whether you're celebrating Christmas. Enjoy you get your white Christmas here with Christmas Eve and Christmas Day on Sunday. If you're in the middle of Hanukkah, happy Hanukkah to you. I wish all the best love and joy to everybody out there. I'll talk to you on Monday. Where else but right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. See ya.